Okay, I get it. There are a lot of options when it comes to buying a laser. So many things that it can be overwhelming when it comes to price, size, you name it. But I'm going to give you 5 different things to consider when you're looking and researching for your laser. Okay, so the first one is going to be cost. And I get it. You're probably thinking that's what you consider first before buying anything. But I want to go into a little bit more depth on that cost. So you have your entry level lasers, say like a diode laser, that's going to run anywhere from 300, 500 and up. You have your CO2 lasers, like this one, the omtech 60 watt, that's going to run about 3,500, 4,000 and up, depending on the wattage that you get. And then they have fiber lasers that have its own range. Anywhere from $4,000 and up, depending on the brand that you get. So just know that price level is going to be different depending on the type of laser that you get. Diode, CO2, fiber, anything like that, it's going to be different. So check that out first. Okay, so you figured out the price range-ish that you want to spend. That's good. Now, let's talk about the size of the machine that you want to get or potentially want to get. So again, going back to this 60 watt omtech laser, let me grab a tape measure real quick. See if I can do this while holding this camera. Okay, so I've got roughly 4 feet by, let's say 38 inches and about 38, give or take, deep. So that kind of gives you a rough size of a CO2 laser, which isn't bad. So you have to consider, are you putting it inside of a garage or shop? Are you putting it inside a bedroom? Can you get that through a door? Then you have your diode lasers that are usually tabletop. Those are pretty easy to get inside. They compact pretty well or turn to the side. So those aren't too bad. Let's see, your fiber lasers. Your fiber lasers are typically smaller for your entry level ones. So those are pretty simple to put inside in, say, like a bedroom. All right, and then number 3, we kind of talked about this briefly with the size, is the wattage. So just real quick, I'm just going to go over that again. Your wattage is going to determine what you want to cut, or based off of what you want to cut. So if you want to cut thicker wood, thicker material, acrylic, you're going to need something like, say, a 60 watt laser or higher. If you're not worried about that and you want to just engrave, say, wood, then you might just want to go with a diode laser. Now, if you want to engrave metal, here's the big thing. With metal, you would need a fiber laser. However, these lasers will allow you to etch, I guess is probably the better word. So you could take a tumbler with like a Yeti tumbler or an off-brand powder coated tumbler and etch the powder coating off. Now you're not engraving the metal, you're just etching the powder coating off. Then they do make a spray, and I cannot for the life of me remember what the spray is called. I'll leave it below or put a text box what it's called. But you can spray this onto the metal and it gives an etched look. So you're etching the metal. But to actually truly etch metal, you'll need a fiber laser. But again, all these come in different wattages, and in return, that's how big they are. So that kind of goes hand in hand. All right, let's talk brands, because there's so many brands out there, from omtech, aeon, again, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, glowforge, Thunder, Boss, I mean, you name it, there's a handful out there. Now, here's the thing. You have brands that are made in China. You have brands that are made in China and reassembled here in the States and quality tested before they ship them out. Then you have machines that are completely built here in the States. But this is where it goes hand in hand with cost. And we should all know this, but I'm just gonna throw this out there. If it's built in China, it's probably gonna be cheaper. This thing, built in China, it is cheaper. It is an entry-level machine, but don't be scared of that. That does not mean that it's a bad machine. There's nothing wrong with it. Now, every brand that you look at, you're gonna come across reviews that one brand is better than the other, or they're gonna find something negative about. That's not what this is about. This is about the fact that this machine costs less than one here in the States. The other thing is, when you buy something like this that's less expensive, you may not get the technical support that you want. So something like this might be for someone that's familiar with lasers, or is tech savvy, or just goes online, YouTube or forums, Facebook pages to figure out if something's wrong, or to troubleshoot. With your more expensive machines, your higher brands, expect to get higher customer service, and that's what you're paying for. You're paying for a great machine, and you're paying for great customer service. So notate that. Look at reviews. Look at not just the performance of the machine, but look at the customer service. What are they saying about customer service? Because just because it's a good machine and it's expensive doesn't mean that they have customer service. So keep that in mind when you're buying the machine. Okay, last is additional cost. So you're buying your laser, you have it in the cart, and you're like, I got it under my budget of X amount, and then you read somewhere that you needed extra accessories, extra items. So I'm gonna go over those real quick, starting out with a chiller. So this one is technically not a chiller. It is a CW3000. It says chiller, but technically it's a water pump. It's not a chiller. It doesn't chill the water, it just circulates it. I can get away with that because, one, I don't run this machine all day. I'm in a area here in Texas that, yes, we have extreme temperatures, but they're not so bad where I have to worry about it getting too hot. So you might need a chiller. I would highly recommend it for most areas to get a chiller, but that's going to be one thing that you'll need. The other thing that we talked about is the air assist. There are going to be some machines that require it that don't have it included. So you want to take consideration of that. The other thing is, not all machines come with autofocus. This one does. I personally don't think that you need it. I have it on here, but me personally, I like to do more manual focusing because I put in different types of material that require a different distance between one another. So instead of adjusting my autofocus, I just manually adjust it anyway. So just know that there are different things that you're going to need. You might need a upgraded exhaust fan, which I'll be doing later on this one. But just know that there are some additional costs that come into it. If you have a bigger machine and you want to do tumblers, then you're going to need a rotary cutter or a rotary for your tumblers so that you can engrave or cut. So just know that when you look at the price of the machine, there might be a little bit extra. The other thing to consider also is your freight charge. Some companies might have that freight built into the cost of the machine, but I can't say that for all of them. Some of them are probably going to have an additional cost for freight, especially nowadays where freight is so It's so crazy out there, guys. Y'all know it's hard to predict what freight is going to cost tomorrow. So check into that. So other than that, guys, that's just a rundown of just a handful of things to consider. But guys, if you enjoy this content, I'd really like you to check out this video of me using the laser. Y'all have a good one.